how early on did you bring in the composer, John Swihart? How much time did you actually give him? Or were you able to give him?
Well, interestingly enough, Paula's composer, Fons Merkis, actually unfortunately had a heart attack. And it became obvious that we it wasn't going to work. Was he going to get better? The insurance company basically said, we can't wait. John Swihart is a wonderful composer. He's American. And I had shown him a cut of the film when I had been in LA in November. And he really enjoyed it. And he said, if you don't have a composer, I'd be very interested in having a go at this. And I said, really? Wow, thank you. And I said, well, we do have a composer. Then in January, I kind of rang him and I said, guess what, John? I don't know how busy you are, but would you like to have a look again at this film? Because we need a composer. So he came on board. So, in fact, we then extended the edit, actually, because of various, issues, from sort of more the kind of marketing and, the commercial side, then decided they had to have their input. He started in about April. So, I mean, generally, I think a composer should have 16 to 20 weeks, or longer. It should be about the same time as your post-production schedule, really. But some composers come on even earlier, even during the shoot, they're looking at dailies and having a think.
Yes.
But the important thing for me was there is always that conversation about, is this going to be a score in its entirety that is the composer's score? Or are we going to have, that sound editor who also is then going to be inserting pieces of music? And we now think contemporary movies, there is so much music that is chosen, that is not specially for the film, but is chosen and is licensed because it provides a story background to the film in some way. It's also in terms of, soundtrack albums and everything else, they're always looking at how that could work. And I felt, because this film had a bit of that sort of throwback 70s feel, that we actually wanted something very clean and we wanted a single score. And there's only two other songs in this film that are just background in the party. And actually, they are composed and written by a musician friend of mine, Brian Cullman, in New York, who works with an interesting Portuguese band called something de Las Puertas, and it's sort of upbeat, sort of samba feel, kind of new, just different. And it works for the party scene because I wanted music for the party that was bohemian in a way, but not specific. And, so often they come up with sort of jazz scores for background party music because it's cheap and easy to get. And I just think, no, these people don't listen to that kind of music. And so I was sort of listening to Cecilia Voria and all of that. And then Brian said, well, how about this? And it was perfect. And it was just so happy that also it could be a friend.
And the score is so important, and music in general is so important for the narrative of a movie, and that's, to me, that goes without saying. And but schedule wise, I mean, if you told the composer, well, we are able to give you 16 weeks, I think they would applaud, actually, because oftentimes they will have to deal with tight deadlines, 5 weeks, 6 weeks, 8 weeks, sometimes even less, sometimes a bit more. So they would be happy, to have 3 or 4 months to write and record a score. But for many guys, that's luxury.
I kind of felt that he didn't have enough time. But also, I mean, John is, what saddened me was I wasn't able to be there, because I had this great idea, which is, oh, fantastic. We can both sit in Los Angeles and I can go over to his fantastic sound studio and I can walk and I can take my coffee and I can sit and listen, I can watch. And I just thought, this is just the best. But in fact, because it was June that he was really kind of getting into it by the time we locked. I mean, you really need it when you're locked. That he had gone to the East Coast because he has an East Coast place. And so everything, of course, came down the line. We read our comments and we did everything remote. And I was just like, oh, this is so sad. And I would say if I do have any regrets, I think maybe it did need perhaps a song at the end, something to take us out, because the ending is unusual and poignant.